So I get a question for Meena. Meena, you actually lead an organization with transformative in its name. And it was formed to support education leaders, right? To advance transformation towards equity through SEL. So what are the most important reasons you're working on building a pipeline of leaders, particularly leaders of color, to be the champions of SEL?
Thanks, Taryn. And Taryn, I just wanted to acknowledge it's so wonderful to finally meet you in person, because when I was working in Oakland, I had the opportunity to work with some amazing youth from Californians for Justice. So thank you for the powerful work that you're doing. So the organization that I lead, Transformative Educational Leadership, or TEL for short, is centered on the integration of leadership, equity, SEL, and mindfulness, or inner work in service of systems transformation. And our participants are not just school leaders. We have central office leaders, school leaders, but also CBO, nonprofit leaders, teacher leaders. We're really trying to expand who we see as having power, and I think that's really important if we want to affect change. RAND recently came out with a report. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. It just came out in the past month or so, that 80% of our school principals are white, and about 40% of those leaders said that their pre-service programs left them completely or mostly unprepared to serve diverse populations. Wow. And that's extremely problematic if more than 50% of our student population are kids of color. So our organization is really trying to fill a gap in the field and really trying to support not just building a pipeline for leaders of color. Our first cohort were 40% leaders of color. Our next cohort hopefully would be 50% leaders of color or majority leaders of color. But also creating a space for white leaders to do powerful work around their privilege and their white identity. I think it's something important that we need to talk about. I have a mentor who told me that she realized she was white 11 years ago. So she has an 11-year-old white identity. Wow. But it's a powerful way of thinking about her identity process. And so the leaders in our program, to get to transformation, we have to move through pain. We have to move through discomfort. That's the only way we're going to be the leaders that are implementing anti-racist policies, procedures, and practices in our schools. Mm-hmm. A focus of our work is also on mindfulness, and mindfulness isn't solely about self-care. It's about, coming from a foundation of understanding and practicing with the sense of interbeing that I spoke about earlier. And it also helps with embodiment. I was in Oakland Unified for 5 years on the SEL team, and probably the most important lesson that I learned was that leadership is key. To be a leader for and of SEL, you need to embody these skills and competencies, and one of the most powerful ways we can do that is attending to our inner lives, right? Our behavior is based on our beliefs, so we need to really do that inner work and check our beliefs and really examine what our beliefs are. The teacher I mentioned before, Larry Ward, he has a beautiful saying. He talks about how if you're revolutionary at heart, and if you're in this room here today, you are. You can either appear like a comet and be a brilliant light that vanishes quickly, or you can be like the sun, always returning. So attending to our inner work is how we can be like the sun. And transforming our educational system isn't going to happen with comets. We must all be like the sun.